Hi, everybody. I'm Randy Arrington, and welcome to the 79th episode of Page Valley Livin'. We're here today in the library of Luray High School to talk with rising senior Briana Plum, who was one of 250 American high school students to receive a Congress Bundestag Youth Exchange Scholarship. She spent about 10 or 11 months living in Germany with a host family, wasn't even allowed to call home for the first month, and she was immersed into the culture. She attended a German high school, got to meet government officials. She went to intercultural seminars and explored the country through a number of excursions that she had over there. We'll find out about some of the things she did and saw, maybe some of the foods that she ate and tasted over in Germany over the next 20 to 25 minutes. And we hope you enjoy it. We're going to come back with episode 79 of Page Valley Livin' after a word from our sponsor. Whispering Pines Assisted Living is now accepting new admissions. Quality care at affordable rates, professionally trained staff, memory support, and short-term respite stays are all offered by Whispering Pines Assisted Living, powered by Valley Care Management, where home and heart meet. Call for a tour today on Leakesville Road in Luray or learn more at valleycaremanagement.com. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to episode 79 of Page Valley Livin'. We are recording this episode on Monday, July 28th, and we'll be airing the program for the first time on Wednesday, July the 30th. Briana, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I think you've got some exciting things to tell us because you spent almost a full year in Germany. As we said in the opening, you were one of 250 American high school students to win a scholarship, the Congress Bundestag Youth Exchange Scholarship. And I'm very curious as to how did you first hear about this?
Well, I've always wanted to do exchange year. My family, we've been lucky enough to travel to Europe before. I went to Italy and Greece, totally loved it. So I went to my guidance counselor. It was one day sophomore year. I went up to her early in the year and I said, hey, do we have any, exchange programs at the high school I can go to another country for? But sadly we didn't, but my guidance counselor, she still looked up programs I could go through the government for free to give me at least some program options.
Okay, so you already had interest in Germany, and when that popped up, you were like, that's something I want to do.
Yeah, I had more of an interest in Italy at first, but then Germany popped up, and I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing. I'd love to do that.
Italy is on my bucket list.
Oh.
I would love to go to Italy. Now, you went for the 2024-2025 academic year. When did you actually leave, and when did you get back?
I left August 8th, and then we had, I think, a night in D.C.
Okay.
And then we left and had an 8-hour flight to Germany. And then, and when did I come back?
Yeah, when did you get back home?
I got back June 17th. And then we had 2 days in D.C. We had to stay at a hotel and, have seminars talking about what we learned and how we're going to deal with it.
So you left in August of 24, and you were back in June of this year, just recently. That's a long time to spend from your family. And as I understand it, from what I've heard, there was a period of time where you were not allowed to contact them, and they could not come to visit for a certain amount of time, and you couldn't go home. And tell me about that.
Yeah, so the first month, the month of August, we were actually in a little village. It was called Bad Lasfa, and we actually lived in the castle. They called it a Schloss, but it's like a castle. And I was with 50 other American students. We had classes, so we had German classes.
Wow.
And seminars just on German culture. So they taught us just what to expect in Germany. But our day was full. We would have to be down at breakfast around 7, and then we wouldn't really have it end until 10 p.m.
Wow. And how long were you in this school?
We were at language camp from August 8th to I think August 30th, maybe.
Okay, so about 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And then you went to live with a host family, correct?
Yes.
What were they like?
It was really interesting because here I only have one sibling, and that's a younger brother. We're pretty close. But there it was my host dad, my host mom, and they had 4 other children. One was 8, one was 12, and then I had a older host brother who was 16, my age, and then an older host sister who was 18. It was a big change. And just like not only just the German culture, but just that family dynamic. It was
Right.
not, I was not used to that whatsoever.
Now, from what I understand, what I've heard is that you had a good relationship with the older sister, and you got to go around and do some things with her. What sort of stuff did y'all do?
Okay, we did a lot for sure. I'm so happy I had her because she actually was an exchange student the year prior in America.
Oh, okay.
She was down in Texas. But we went to Paris for my birthday. That was a gift from my host family.
To Paris. Wow.
To Paris, yeah. That was on my bucket list. I've always wanted to go to Paris.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah, and from Germany, I think it's only like $70 plane ticket to go to Paris.
Wow.
But that was amazing. I was so glad to see the Eiffel Tower and just go around Paris with my host sister.
Now, how many days were you in Paris?
I think we were just 3 full days.
3 full days. And then I heard y'all also did some other things that, did you go, let's see, you went to Paris. You ran a half marathon with her.
Yeah, so we trained, I think like a month after I got there, I said, I want to run a marathon. But you have to be 18 to run a marathon, so
Right.
toned it down to a half marathon. And we trained like all winter, and then it came, I think, around April 5th or so.
Okay.
And yeah, I loved it because it was like all our hard work paid off. We would run like at least 3 times a week, like
Oh, wow.
more than 10 miles. It was great.
Your track and cross country coaches will be glad to hear that, I think.
Yeah, I definitely will.
You looking forward to your senior year with that?
Yes, I'm really excited for coming back to running.
Cross country gets started really soon.
Yeah, next week.
Next week, yeah, there you go. And then I heard also that you got to go skiing in the Alps.
Yes, that was
That's the same thing as Massanutten, right?
no, that was not my best moment. I just totally lost all my confidence in skiing when the whole family, we just went up to the high slope.
Oh my gosh.
And then we skied down, and I fell like 5 times.
Okay.
After that, we kept on going to the high slopes, and I just like at one point I just like sat down. I'm like, I'm just gonna scoot down this hill. Like I'm not skiing. My poor hostess, though, she just like stood beside me. Was like, let's go. And I'm like, I'm going. Like.
So they're just a little bigger mountains, a little
Yeah,
little steeper,
lot
and you're
steeper.
higher. And if you happen to go off an edge,
Oh,
it's,
that's what scared me the most because it was like, go off the edge and you're dead.
oh my gosh, wow! But I bet beautiful.
Oh, it was so beautiful, yeah.
Oh my gosh! So you got to do a lot of things. It said it talked about in the press release before you went over that you were going to be able to meet some government officials and go to see
Yes.
Parliament. Did y'all do that?
Yes, I think at the end, around May, we went to the German Parliament, and we could actually see like they have about like I think 6 groups, like 6 political groups, maybe it's 7. But it was so interesting to see, like some of them wore casual clothing, some of them like just like business clothing, and that was just interesting to see because here like everyone wears like suits,
Right.
dresses.
Right.
One of the parties, like one of the really liberal parties, was just wearing like jeans and a blouse. So I'm like, it was interesting to see. Yeah, we got to see that.
And we should explain to our audience, we were using the word earlier, Bundestag. Did I say that right?
Bundestag, yeah.
Bundestag. And that is basically, that's their parliament. That's the word for their parliament,
Yeah.
their government agency there in Germany. It also talked about going to some seminars and exploring the country through excursions. Now, you talked about a couple of things you did with your host sister. Were there other excursions that you did with the group or other students?
There was options to
Okay.
like go to like different parts of Germany with the group, but like I never did that. Like you had to pay for it, and it was just like I would have to take off school sometimes. It would be like on a weekend, and like I just had other things I wanted to do,
Yeah.
like train for the marathon, learn more German. But one thing I was able to do was carnival. Have you ever heard of that?
I heard of Carnival down in South America in Brazil or Rio de Janeiro.
I
But
think it might be a little similar. So I went with my host cousins because you know Cologne. You know that big cathedral you see in Germany sometimes.
yeah, sort of.
Well, they live right next to Cologne,
Okay.
and there's carnival is like where people dress up in costumes, and there's a lot of drinking. I didn't drink, but a lot of
course
people.
not.
It's a lot of partying, and so I was lucky to go there. I skipped school a day. Went with my host cousins down to Cologne, and we just like partied with carnival. There's
I
we
bet
all
that
we had
was
costumes. Yeah,
What was the most amazing thing about that? Probably just chaos everywhere, wasn't it?
it was a lot of chaos, but there was a parade, and you could see like there was like some USA parades or floats. So there was even a Trump one, but it wasn't the nicest. But it was just like it was like political. It was political skits. They're making fun of like a lot of just
Sure.
political figures in general.
Sure.
So
With so much to do, I mean, gosh, you were in a marathon, you went skiing, you get to go to Parliament, you get to do all these things. How were you able to keep up with your academics and so that you could stay on par to be a senior this year and graduate?
The summer before I left, I did 2 Laurel Ridge classes. I'm still trying to get my 1-year certificate, so I hope I'm on track for that.
Okay.
So 2 classes before I left, and then I did do classes there, but it was like pass or fail. So it's just like pass as in like I knew the basics, like I was learning. So and it got better over time. Like when I first came, I didn't know a lot of German, so it was hard to keep up in class.
Right.
But towards the end, I was finally able to participate in the class and learn better.
Do a lot of Germans speak English?
A lot of people think they speak, perfect English. It's like as good as like my Spanish.
Okay.
Well, like depends like the people. But I lived in Hanover, and that was, if you go more west in Germany, where like the Americans kind of helped out there after the World War II with rebuilding it, they speak a lot better English. In the east, like barely any English, and I'm right in the middle. I lived in Hanover.
So you were in Western Germany.
Yes.
So
slightly
if I held up my hand pretending that it's Germany, and it was on the left side, the western side,
Yeah.
was it north or south or?
It was like a bit north and a bit too like in the middle as well. Like so like.
Okay. Okay.
But they didn't speak. It's just like very basic English, like what's your favorite color, like what's your name, how are you doing. But it was really hard to like build relationships with like. I knew basic German, they knew basic English. It's hard to deepen connections.
Now that's probably out in the public, but I mean, your host family, did they speak English?
Half of them.
Okay.
So my host dad, he worked for like a big insurance firm.
Okay.
So he worked with Americans on a daily. So
Okay.
That was amazing because he spoke perfect English. My host sister had an exchange year, so she spoke good English as well. But the rest of them, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Not
I
the
bet
best.
that was an interesting situation to be in.
Yeah.
Let's go through 1 or 2 more things, and then we'll take a break, and we'll come back talk about some of the cultural differences. Let's actually start that conversation. What was one of the biggest differences, or actually, let me rephrase that. What was your image of Germans before you went, and then what changed about your perception of the country and the culture after you experienced it for almost a year?
I had the image that the Germans were going to be like the Italians, like really welcoming, really nice. And I also thought they would all have, for some reason, blue eyes, blonde hair. That was
Right.
When you think about Germans, I was like tall,
The
blue eyes,
Sound
blonde
of
hair.
Music and all, yeah.
Yeah, and like the Alps, like villages, little tiny villages.
Yeah.
Then I go there and I'm like in this big city, like over 500,000 people. It's not like you would think it's like no mountains in sight. I was at the flattest city in Germany.
Wow.
And I don't think, rarely did I see someone with blue eyes and blonde hair. So I'm like, wow, no.
Okay.
It's not, it was just a lot more, they're really eco-friendly. I didn't know there's so many vegetarians in Germany, but there are.
Okay.
But yeah, that was.
Now, what would be one of the biggest differences that you noticed maybe in like day-to-day life?
Biking. I had a bike to
Biking.
school, even when it was snowing. It wasn't like, oh, do you want a car ride? No, you can go on your bike. Like, there's barely any snow on the ground. You can go on your bike to school and back. So biking, I rode my bike here some, but like not to like the city, not to like school.
You were riding it almost every day then?
Yeah, every single day.
Wow. And how far was that trip from the house to the school?
I think only like 12 minutes on my
12
bike and
minutes.
back. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, on my bike to and from, yeah.
So that's what, a mile, 2 miles?
Maybe 3. Yeah.
3 miles? You rode
I rode fast. I was always late, so
You're sounding like my grandpa now. I rode my bike 5 miles both ways to school in the snow both ways uphill.
yeah, it was something.
I bet it was. And we're going to hear more about the differences in German culture and all of the experiences that Briana Plum had in her year of being an exchange student in Germany. We'll learn about all that and more when we come back after a word from our sponsor. Hawksbill Assisted Living in Luray is now accepting new admissions. Hawksbill Assisted Living, powered by Valley Care Management, offers quality care at affordable rates, professionally trained staff, and veterans aid and attendance. come visit Hawksbill Assisted Living, located near the beautiful Hawksbill Greenway in Luray. Call for a tour today or learn more at valleycaremanagement.com. Welcome back, everyone, here to the library of Luray High School, where we're talking with rising senior Briana Plum about her big trip to Germany as an exchange student for almost a year. What were you most surprised about when you really got immersed into German culture?
I think the recycling.
The recycling.
So they don't have just recyclable and waste. It's you have organic waste, then you have plastic, and then you have paper. And when I first got there, I'm like, it doesn't really matter, does it? No, like when I accidentally put something in the waste that was organic waste, and I got screamed at. You don't mess with, that was really surprising, and it took
Very rigid on the recycling.
very, very rigid. And they have something called font. It's like you have a plastic bottle, like anything that's plastic or even glass, you can return it to the grocery store and get back 75 cents.
Oh, wow.
And they're really rigid about that too. Like if you have something, you don't just put it in recycling, you take it back to the store.
So that you reminded me of something. This isn't a question we talked about before, but you talked about, you mentioned 75 cents and made me think, what were things a little more expensive? Were they about the same as here? Average things like a Coca-Cola or a sandwich or something. Did you think it was more expensive or about the same?
I would say daily essentials is less. No, about the same. But
Okay.
things because the Germans aren't as extra as Americans sometimes. So things that were not essential to daily life were a little less. Like makeup, it was a lot cheaper than it was here.
Huh. Wow. So they're kind of minimalist in some ways,
Yeah.
as opposed to where we just want everything because, I want that, I want that.
Yeah. So and they knew if we don't make it cheap, they're not buying it. So.
Now, we talked about in the first segment a lot of different things that you did. You went to Paris, you ran in a marathon, you got to go skiing in the Alps. What do you think, out of all the things you saw and did, what was the most interesting to you that you saw or did?
I think my trip to Berlin. So I got
Oh,
to
wow.
go with my American exchange programs, the other 50 students. And it was just so interesting to see the difference between East and West Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can just see the difference where communism had a hold of Berlin, the building. It's there's block buildings that just look so depressing, versus on the west side it's it's just so much different. It's just here, and also it's how many English speakers there were in Berlin.
Oh, wow.
Because outside of Berlin, there's people speak English, but there's not fluent. In Berlin, it's everyone speaks English.
So I'm curious about this. It's been about 35 years since the wall came down that divided East and West Berlin. Is there anything left of the wall? Do they keep up pieces of it as for historical value, or?
Yes, they have. It's called, I think, the East Side Gallery, and it's the wall. Might be wrong on that, but I think they have the painted. They have it painted in memorial of
And they have pieces of the wall or panels, but none of it actually exists out in the city, outside of a museum?
I think you can find some fragments, but a lot of it people. I remember I think one of my history teachers here, she went to Germany and she had a piece of the Berlin Wall with her.
Yeah.
It's been totally
I can remember when it came down, and it was about my senior year in high school.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the cover of Newsweek and all with that on it. And to go over there, it's just in the few years right after it happened, for anybody who came back with a piece of it, it was you might as well have had a moon rock. I mean, it was oh my gosh,
Yeah.
But you didn't get it, a little nugget or anything? You didn't? Nothing? Okay.
No, I look no.
How about the food? I always like to talk about the food. What was the food like, and did you have a favorite dish?
Okay. Well, I was a bit unlucky with my host family. I like them a lot. And they tried to give me meat dishes sometimes, but they were vegetarian, fully vegetarian. So I can't say too much on the German food, except when I went out. And there's this dish called Döner. It came from a Turkish immigrant.
Say the word again.
Döner.
Dona?
Döner.
Doner.
Döner, yeah.
Okay. What is that?
It's bread. It's thick bread. And then you have pork. I think it's pork. It's some type of meat. And then it's a sauce, and you have lettuce. It's a sandwich, but it's it tastes much better than a sandwich.
I got to give credit to your host family because that was probably hard for them to offer you meat in front of them and their children. Were they begrudging in doing that?
There was one who wasn't vegetarian, and that was the 8-year-old. I have my 8-year-old host brother, because he didn't have the choice yet to be like, am I actually vegetarian, am I not? So me and him would like eat chicken nuggets and like.
Okay. So. All right, so you had a meat partner there. That's
yeah.
Good. That's good. Let's talk about American influences. Did you see any in Germany? Did they watch American movies or TV? Was there a McDonald's there? That kind of thing.
I think like #1 influence in Germany is 100% America. Like maybe they don't want to say that, but it's music. Like I would go anywhere, hear American music.
So you're saying as opposed to any other countries or areas of the world, American influence was bigger than Asian or other places in Europe or South America or anything
Definitely.
like that? Yeah. Okay.
Stores, like American stores, American fast food. Like they had a Subway, they had McDonald's. I think there's like a steakhouse. Like it was some type of like American steakhouse they had there too. And I'm like, and then they also had like a store. It was a German store. I've never seen it here. It was called New Yorker. And I was like, I've never heard of this. Is this from America? No, it's like a German clothing brand, and they just named it New Yorker.
And you told me a little while ago that you went into one of the stores and you tried to talk German to the clerk, and she wanted you to speak English.
Yeah, and that's in Berlin, because like they say, unofficial official language is English in Berlin, just because there's so many immigrants and like German's hard to learn, you know, so they just speak English. So that's what that.
That's it. That's very interesting. Now, so. When you got back just a few weeks ago, what did you appreciate most when you got back? What was the first thing you did?
I think the first thing I did, I went back to my workplace, the Luray Caverns, with my friends. One of them still worked there. One of them, she worked with me, but she no longer works there. We went back to the Luray Caverns, toured it, and yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Went back to Luray Caverns. How about that? Was there a particular food that you were craving the whole time you were over there, and you were just like, we got to go out and get this?
Crumble cookies. Because they don't believe in that. They don't believe in like really sweets, cookies,
no sweets?
Expensive cookies. No.
I would think of German bakers as making all sorts of desserts.
Like bread, like.
Just bread. Okay.
But like I got tired of bread because that's what I ate a lot. I ate a lot of bread and pasta.
Here's an interesting one I want to talk a little bit about. How do Germans, at least from what you saw in your perspective, how do they perceive Americans?
Towards the end I really didn't like this because it definitely like took a turn for the worse when like Trump took over, but you just have to remember like they're really, really liberal.
Particularly you said in the area that you were in, they were very liberal, yeah.
And it's like they just think, they think America's really dangerous. Like my host grandma, I'm like, oh, you should come visit me. And she's like, I can't, like it's too dangerous.
Now, why do they think it's dangerous? Is it the guns?
I think it was more that like Trump was in office. They said, I can't visit you for the next 4 years.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's how they felt.
Yeah, and it's like they do, and like they hear on the radio, you just hear America, America, America. Like on the car radio, like they have radios in the house. You just keep on hearing about America. And it's like what Trump's doing. So like even when I would try to give like advice, like America's not like that. Like no, not all Americans are fat, loud, dumb. Like no, actually, they won't really listen to you because they already think they know because they hear about it so much.
And it would be, you talked about on the radio, so what, like American news, but also American music?
Oh yeah, American music all the time.
Now you told me about something called the American lean. What is that?
It's like how they say like they can like notice Americans because like Germans like they sit up straight like never leaning and like
and we're just sort of flop back and
more relaxed, laid back, and like if we're standing in a line we might like lean on the wall or like maybe even sit down sometimes. See, they would rather die.
And that's how they knew you were American, if you were leaning on something.
Yeah, because I was always leaning on something.
That is very, very interesting. You could probably write a whole paper on that. That'd be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So we talked about how long you were away. How hard was it to be away from your family for that long?
Really hard. Like, it was really hard for me. And I think I was like, also like I was 16 most of the year I was over there. And it's like, I wanted to come home a lot. My parents would not let me, which is good because I would regret coming back home. But it was, I had to call my mom like every day, which I know you shouldn't, and maybe that even made it harder. But like I missed home. I missed the support system because over there, I had 4 other host siblings. You know, it wasn't super supportive.
Yeah.
They tried, but they didn't have a lot of time. Yeah, I just really missed home.
I remember going to college, and it was the first time I was away from home for more than like a week.
Yeah.
Or if I went to a camp or something, I might be gone for a week. But to me, the first month was the hardest. Once I got through the first month, it got better. Of course, with college, there's a lot of distractions as well as having to focus on the studies as well. But, you know, if I'm not mistaken, it was 6 months before they could visit?
Yeah, they had to wait till after like halfway. Luckily, I was actually able to sneak my grandma and my mom in a bit early, like a week, because they would have to come in January. But I was like, you guys should come for the Christmas markets because it's like amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So I like wrote a whole email to like the department that I had to like send out an email and be like, hey, can my family come? And I'm like, please, for the Christmas markets. And they let my grandma and mom come over.
Well, you prompted another question here as we're getting sort of towards the end. What was it like Christmas in Germany? What was that like?
Okay, that was really good. Because we have Christmas markets and they have like a bunch of like gingerbread. I love gingerbread. And yeah, it was really nice. And like my host family, like they really put effort into the gifts. Like they got me like everything I would ever need.
Wow.
Yeah. And
So
like, yeah.
Giving pretty high marks to the host family then, I guess.
Yeah, no, they tried hard.
So let's see here. I think I'm getting down to my last one here. Would you recommend this program to other folks, other students being an exchange student?
Yeah, I would, but I think you should be older. I think like 16 plus for sure. 16's
Right.
like, because you have to be independent. You have to like control your emotional state, and yeah, it just can be really hard on you, especially if you're not that independent yet.
And if you knew of another student that was going into the exchange program from Luray High School that was going to go to another country, what advice would you give them before they took off on the plane?
I would just say research the culture, because like I was shocked how unfriendly they are, but it's like that's just their culture. They're really just a bit colder than Americans, and just to learn the language. Like that was an issue for me, because you can't connect with people if you don't know the language. Like, you know, so just learn the language and learn the culture.
Okay. How would you say that in German?
God.
I'm just
I was like,
just teasing a little bit. I know you said it was hard to learn, but
yeah, I could say it if I thought about it.
well, what was your favorite phrase in German? I want to hear that accent, see if you got the accent down.
I'll introduce myself. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, ik ben Briana. Ich wohne in Luray und meine Lieblingshobby ist Laufen.
I agree completely. I couldn't have said it better myself.
I just said my name is Brianna. My favorite hobby is running.
Last thing, if you could say something to your family in Germany, who we hope maybe you'll tell about this,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll get a click from Germany. What would you like to say to your host family in Germany?
Thank you guys so much for hosting me. I just texted my host dad yesterday, and I hope to be back before I go to my Thailand hiking trip. I'll come and visit you guys before next summer.
Well, Briana, thank you so much for talking with us today. Briana Plum, back from Germany after a year in Germany. We hope you have found this show enlightening. We hope that you will share it with a friend, hit that like button, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Page Valley News. This is it for episode 79. We want to thank Eleanor Arrington for all of her work behind the camera and in the editing room this week. And as we always do when we wrap up, we want to remind you to go down to the Page County Animal Shelter and help one of our furry friends find a forever home. For Briana Plum, I'm Randy Arrington saying until next week, enjoy that Page Valley living.